I wonder what sociologists will say about the collective unconscious of the 1990s. It seemed like everything had to have three O's attached to it. You had Windows 2000, Powerman 5000, and the MS2000. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Zach Marr from Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. This is our Sound Lab channel where we talk about all things music tech related. And today we're talking about the one-hit wonder, the Powerman. Oh wait, no, this is a different video. We're talking about the Korg MS2000. I just love that we can make 90s references in these videos. I really have a lot of nostalgia for the 90s, and I feel like it's coming into fashion a little bit, so expect more of those. I'm sorry, we just have to. There's not enough of it. So let's get on to the Korg MS2000, which is technically not a 90s instrument. It came out in the year 2000, and it was very creatively named the MS2000, hearkening back to their MS-20. You can see that 70s kind of aesthetic with just all the knobs out on the front panel and the kind of almost service manual diagrams on the front. It has a very cool vintage look to it, and this was the era of virtual analog where that Nord kind of launched when they came out with the Nord lead in the mid-90s and created this whole genre of instrument, virtual analog, which was kind of the thing during that time. And this is Korg's version of it, the MS2000, and we're gonna ask the question, is it worth it today? Is it interesting still? Is it better off forgotten? Let's talk about it. So the MS2000 is actually a really nice sounding synth. I was pleasantly surprised. We ordered an MS2000 and a JP8000 from Roland, as those are both kind of iconic and have been getting more attention lately and technically are now both vintage, because they're older than 20 years. And I was pleasantly surprised at how full and rich sounding the MS2000 sounded. There's not a lot of technical documentation out there about what the VA modeling technology they were using at this time. It was all proprietary. It was a lot of hand waving, and this was Korg's version of it, and it was a little late to the game. They were early. They had the Korg Prophecy, I think, which was a mono synth VA earlier in the 90s, but their polyphonic VA was later to the game, and this was it. Its biggest drawback was that it was only 4 voices. You could chain it together with another rack mount unit or another MS2000 and get 8 voices, up to 8 voices. There was also another variation, I think a B and a BR, so the rack mount was the 2000R, and then there was a 2000B and 2000BR, and I think it added like a vocoder input, some extra patches, and I think 2 voices of polyphony. I might be mixing that up with the JP8000, but you get a few differences with the rack mount version and the black version. But overall, interesting little synth. The things that are probably most interesting about it, they both have vocoder. I'm sorry. This one has an audio in and a vocoder in. It's got kind of a sequencing system in it, which allows for kind of complex patches that create motion. You can sequence different kind of parameter motions in a sequence, and so you can get, like, over time, pretty complex patches. It goes weird. And it goes kind of like glitchy techno type patching, postmodern sounding type things. It does that pretty well. It's got some great built-in effects. It's got a pretty nice filter, a digital filter that you can alternate between 2-pole and 4-pole. A lot of hands-on control. It's almost got all the controls out on front, which is also nice. It's got a nice arpeggiator section. And it also has a virtual patch bay, again, harkening back to the MS-20 and the MS-10. but you know, I haven't spent a ton of time with it, so I'm not as familiar with it yet. I might do a follow-up video. I think we're going to do a comparison between the MS2000 and the JP8000. One of the other notable things on Oscillator 1, you can do kind of Vox waves forms and DWGS waveforms that are from like the DW8000 series, which are kind of wavetables, cool wavetables that Korg had in their kind of hybrid synths. So it's got a lot of synth history from Korg inside of it, but ultimately I think it's a great sounding synth. It's got a lot of character, and without saying too much more, let's jump into it, listen to it, and we'll conclude with some final thoughts. So there you have it, the MS2000. I think it sounds really nice. It does both kind of classic analog type sounds as well as kind of postmodern, fun movement type patches. Again, its main drawback is that 4 voices of polyphony. I think it's probably its biggest drawback. You can do split mode and layered patches, but again, with 4 voices, it really becomes very restrictive in that sense. Maybe the Boutique series got its inspiration from the MS2000 polyphony. I don't know. Its probably biggest claim to fame is that it was a synth used heavily on the Metroid Prime video game series. So very cool synth. I like the way it sounds. It's still really cheap. You can get one for $300 to $400, and I think it sounds really good for a $300 to $400 synth. And it also looks really cool. So I think it's a little undervalued for what it does, but I would love to hear your thoughts. We might make a follow-up video because this one didn't get super technical, and if there's interest in me going deeper into this and getting more history about it, I'd love to do it, but we thought we'd just do this one as a kind of fun piece because it sounds nice and talk about it a little bit. What are your thoughts on it? Are there later Korg synths that do this just as well, and is it kind of subsumed by later Korg digital synths, and is that why it's so inexpensive? That could be the case. Or is it unique? Does it have D to A converters that give it its own sense of time and space like you get in the late 80s and early 90s digital synths? I think it does have a very distinct flavor, but is it distinct enough to be different than what's currently being offered? Is it memorable enough to become vintage and sought after? I think it's so early in its vintage journey, it's hard to tell at this point. So would love to hear your thoughts. Please share them below. If you didn't already, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications. You can find us at almamusic.com if you want to talk more, and thanks for watching today.